Good evening, Evolutionary TV here. I'm your host, Terry Earthwind Nichols, along with the beautiful
Linda Vettis Nichols.
She is beautiful, right? And tonight, this is week 5 of our 10-week series on suicide prevention called One Day, One Moment in Time, Something Was Taken Away from You. And what if you could get it back? So we're using these 10 weeks of Facebook Live to talk just about those different things. We have 10 basic things. Tonight's number 5, and I'll pass it to the lovely.
I forgot my name. Well, tonight we're talking about psychotherapy and modalities and then how they're different. So psychotherapy, a lot of it is talk therapy. Sometimes it's talking and talking until you've just plain old numbed out your story, especially if you're dealing with PTSD. The thing is, it doesn't really go away. It's still there on an energetic level. And like one of our clients talks about Pandora's box. You might as well, her attitude is to go through this CR process so that Pandora's box doesn't just explode all over the place and you have no idea where all the pieces belong. So the thing that really makes the CR process different from psychotherapy is where we start in the brain. We start at the back of the brain, and psychotherapy is more cognitive. It's even up, in the executive function part of the brain and then working back. When it comes to modalities, they tend to be on the side. Even like coaches are trying to find blind spots. A blind spot is something that everybody in the room can see except us, right? The individual who has the blind spot. So with modalities, it's about finding different events, different memories, or whatever that are getting in your way. The thing is, it doesn't find that core, that foundational event that usually in way back in childhood that you actually walled off out of protection, whether it was something a parent said that you didn't get help processing, or something way more traumatic. And it's interesting because what Terry and I both found for ourselves going through the CR process with one of our master practitioners is that it wasn't as traumatic to us, and yet it was running our lives and definitely had a hold on us. And so when we arrived at that walled off, what we call the active block, it's just like pulling the plug on a whole chain of Christmas tree lights. And my background's special ed, so I've noticed that in starting to work with people with even complex PTSD, it's like the neurology just gets weak enough one day that boom, a PTSD, and then that same energy is running, and then another day when the nervous system is weak, boom, another PTSD. And that's how we came to understand what is actually called complex PTSD. And our trick is keeping people completely out of story, completely out of emotion. And I know the danger of working with people is to trigger them, and our process doesn't have anything to do with emotions and triggering people.
Yeah, big key here is we take our clients out of the motion of memories, therefore there is no emotion in the memory. And keeping their eyes closed, they are fully present and engaged with us for a very long period of time, a couple, 3 hours. And so unlike other ways of working with other types of psychobehavior, we are consistent about the results that we get with you, because it's really an inventory of what you're aware of in a memory as you would be looking at it if it was a photograph in front of you.
In complete healthy detachment, which is
the
really beautiful thing and the huge difference between the
and key here for you guys that are listening to this and sharing it to other people. A lot of people do share stuff. The key here is all of these traumatic, repetitive memories and things that you're dealing with when you come to see us.
The conscious ones.
The conscious ones, okay? The nightmares, all of those. We don't visit any of those.
Nope.
We don't talk about them,
Mm-hmm.
okay? We have a sequence to get you to 3 different memories in a very specific way, and it's never varied, okay? And so you get to walk back in time. You take in about 2 million memories a day. So there's plenty to go back and find. So we use generalities. And then when we freeze frame, what I say before, into a picture, there's no movement in the picture, okay? And so there's no history. Uncle Bob, he's in my memory. God, I hate that man. None of that, because those types of memories don't come to the fore when we're walking through this process. Linda?
Well, even if they did, the person's completely out of emotion, so they're not going to be inventorying their emotions. And we always say, it's like, just the facts, man, just the facts, right? So.
Yeah. You know, even if once in a while a client will engage in a memory and all of a sudden want to take us on a spin. Well, that's their deflection system. We don't take them on spin. We don't allow us. Whoop, stop, no motion. No, you can't go down the street and say hi to cousin Charlie, because Charlie's not in this picture. Okay.
Yeah, we're
so
really
back here,
strict about
very specific.
Where they land, the location,
exactly.
Placement of the body, because the deflection system gets real interesting and starts to twist things. And yeah, we're like detectives.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
you know, for the announcement earlier today, we're talking about the front of the brain, the side of the brains, and we come in through the back, but we're not mapping. Mapping has nothing to do with what we're doing. And so I just wanted to reiterate to you that our process, our sequence, doesn't engage any of that type of things that you may have witnessed in the past with other psychotherapeutic services.
Well,
Linda?
Yeah, people will say, is it NLP? And like, no. Is it EMDR? No. The list goes on and on and on. And like I said, those are modalities. They go in from the side of the brain, and we work from the back of the brain forward.
The CR process is a copyrighted process, okay?
Trademark.
And the repetitive behavior cellular regression has a registered trademark with the United States Trademark Office, okay? So we are real. We are in 12 countries, 26 US states. We have 48 people who are loving practitioners. 5 of those happen to be master practitioners. One of them we talked about earlier got smart enough and savvy enough to outwit our deflection system one at a time and get us to the active block that we originally searched for. That's how I started all this. I couldn't believe that I could have such marvelous success and then trip myself up and fail, and then do it over and over and over again. My whole adult life, I refused to believe that that was my conscious thought that was doing that. And by golly, it wasn't. And we found it. And then reading in a book by Tom Hartman about walking, and he addressed Dr. Sigmund Freud, who worked with, he was a psychiatrist and doctor back in the late 1800s. And he had a theory back then that when adults had a problem in early childhood, and that problem drove the repetitive issues and suffering they did as adults. And he was using hypnosis. We do not, in any form, use hypnosis. But he was getting some success. And unfortunately, he was in early 19th century, late 18th century, or late 1800s. And a mass hysteria, bad publicity came around unethical hypnotists supposedly hypnotizing people and sending them out to steal stuff and bring it back to them without their knowledge. And the then medical societies have then outlawed any use of hypnosis. So that really dropped him on his knees. He had to come up with some other deal. Unfortunately, he tried cocaine on his clients, got a little bit of success the way I understand it, tried it a few times himself and ended up an addict. That's too bad.
No.
But
Lost his life to suicide.
and
as
lost
well.
his life to suicide as well. Well, guess what, Dr. Freud? We found the key, and it works. That's about all we got tonight. It's a long one, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We thank you very much. This was week 5 of our 10-week series that will end on Wednesday night, September 18th. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more to talk about every week and every day here on Evolutionary Healer Facebook page, as well as our weekly TV show and short lives. We're going to be interviewing some people here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
So good night, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.